this depth year. And is anyone else feeling that retrograde craziness? I am already at the point where I'm like, why Mercury, why? But I've got my water, my hydration, and I figured I'd do overall less of a June check-in because it was a pretty menial month, I think, overall depth year wise. Like, I accomplished what I would accomplish, there wasn't too many complaints, but reflecting back on the whole first half of my depth year, I think it's very, very interesting because now that I have broken stuff down into like monthly goal stuff when it comes to my spirituality, that has really been important. Whereas before, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was very, I don't know, it was like all of the things, all of the year, do all of the stuff. And it's like, okay, yes. And by restricting how much makeup I was buying, type of clothes I was buying, singular purchases, and by singular I mean by like buying it just by myself as opposed to as a part of an experience with other people, important. And I think it really helped me to, I don't know, refocus on the fact that I just wasn't being that conscious with my day-to-day actions at all, which I think is already a huge success of the depth year. The main things that have been, I guess, the most success so far has been I have not bought a single new book. I have been gifted a couple of books here or there, but I have not bought a single one in 2019. So I am quite proud of myself for that. Even though I haven't finished reading a whole bunch of books, I have made a lot of progress in books I've wanted to read. And I think ultimately, when it comes to these types of challenges, another thing I realized is how much major stressors I can take on at once. Because one of the reasons I kind of enjoy reading and kind of don't enjoy reading is because I like to enjoy both fiction and nonfiction, and I like to enjoy them together. But for some reason, if I'm enjoying fiction, I feel it as superfluous. It is a total reward and it's fantastic, right? But if I'm reading nonfiction, which is a lot of books I do want to read, suddenly I guilt myself by not reading them, even though they're totally elective. Like, I'm not in school, I don't have to keep reading them, why am I doing this to myself? So if I don't finish certain books in a certain time frame, I get really angry. I think I'm perfectly fine with continuing on and just being like, listen, these nonfiction books apparently I like to read at a slower pace. Some are books I really do want to get through them. I really do want to finish them at some point. They're books I want to know that I have read. And if it's gonna take me all freaking year, it's gonna take me all freaking year, and just to kind of accept that, you know what I mean? Like, it took me forever to get through the Dark Goddess book, but I'm really happy that I got through it. And it was one of those books that had a lot of eye-opening things for me. I was really proud of myself for getting through that and having all of those revelations. But when it comes to each month going forward, I've kind of decided for like July and August already with devoting to a deity and kind of like having some focus around the deity, making art around them, getting a tattoo, or focusing all my meditations. Mostly that's the main thing, is like just anytime I'm tapping into something, I am tapping into that particular deity, calling out to them, giving them energy, seeing what message could be there for me. And it's very, very interesting how by centering my mind around that constantly, of when I have a moment of quiet, of peace, of reaching out, I am reaching specifically for one thing only, has really helped my mind to not be so chaotic focused. And also too, I don't know, something about having a theme of the month has helped a lot. A lot of what July has been about for me, it's very weird, because at first I was like, okay, low-key, is the month of July, it's probably gonna be very chaotic, very crazy, and in some respects true. My ceiling, if you haven't seen it on Instagram, here are some photos. Yeah, had some very interesting dates that have just really grinded my gears. Ugh, just not a fun time. But then there's other things that I've really done well. I started going to yoga classes this month as a way to connect better with my body. I've been very attentive with my health. I'm really triggering and drinking a bunch more water, and I don't know, allowing myself, I think, to kind of like refocus on me and what I want and where I'm going in life, I guess. A lot of rearranging my main space and not spending a ton of money. I finally was able to sell my car a while ago, so now that's a bunch of income has come in. It's a lot of this, right? And not in my mood so much, just as like things happening to me. And I've been very, very appreciative of kind of the focus the depth year has given me. It has allowed me to, when I feel myself being extremely stressed and I'm reaching for certain things, then I'm like, okay, why? And like, it's unveiling a bunch of shadows and things. I'm like, oh hey, there is something here. What is up with, I don't know, some of the ways I have with food, and like, why is food such a, if I'm sad, eat food, if I'm happy, eat food, like, and by that I mean like you should always nourish yourself. Nutrition and food important, but like, why is it that I always reach like that is my reward, a good chunk food? Or, you know, why is it eating out is such a thing to reach for, whether life is good or bad? And if it's in the middle even, well, it's such an easy thing, and it's a necessity. I have to eat, so it's okay if this is where I splurge. And it's like, well, kind of, yes, every once in a while, but no, not all the freaking time. Yeah, that's been very interesting, I think. I think that's probably been my biggest, oh my goodness, is my relationship with food and how I use it all the time, especially emotionally. It's a very big, like, where I want to go with the food thing. And also, I've really been hyper aware, I guess, this last 6 months on my guilt and overbooking of stuff, which is eventually how I got down to the let's focus on a month at a time type of thing. Because I'm still fully committed to attempting at minimum to commit to my rules. I'm not buying any more books until I've read all the books I have. I'm not buying any more clothes, jewelry, or makeup unless on a replacement basis, which I've been doing pretty well. I even, since I'm going to yoga and I don't have very many workout clothes, I was like, oh, but I really want to buy a pair of yoga pants, but like not a depth year thing. And then one of my black pairs of jeans ripped. And I was like, you know what? I already have like 7 pairs of black jeans. There is no reason for me to replace this with another pair of black jeans. I could replace it with yoga pants. So trades out. And like, that's been very interesting to me, right? And there's been a couple of like clothes where it's like, oh, I've ruined a piece of clothing, or it's like I could repair it, but that, like, you know, there's certain repairs where it's like, oh, a little bleach pen or just sew that up, not that big of a deal. And that's another one of my focuses. I'm like, no, I really do want to focus on repairing a piece of clothing if I love it, if it's something I really enjoy and I love to wear it. There's other pieces of clothing where it's just like, I mean, it was already kind of shit to begin with, and it was already shit material, and now it's falling apart and there's holes in it, and yeah, is it necessary to use that? No. And I don't throw it away. Actually, what was it? Someone I saw on a YouTube channel somewhere, it's like, use old like things like as dish rags or as, you know, cloths to like clean up bullshit crap that you just have around the house, so you're not just like, you know, throwing away clothes and ends up in a landfill, I guess, or something. So been doing that as well. So it is very interesting, I guess, just how you slowly but surely kind of take in small pieces of what you're realizing. And like right now, connecting to Loki, having those meditations, I've already done a sacred piece of art to him, which is fun. I just like went to a coffee shop and like felt the kind of need to draw me feeling into the energies of him. I really wanted to wear a piece of jewelry that is reminiscent of every single one of my deities, and so I had a very specific, probably saw in my previous videos, little flowered emblem thing for Persephone. And now I have switched out to, I've had this for God knows how long, but something about like, I guess this is more of like a dragon pendant, but for me I just like saw it in my jewelry box and I was like, snake. And snakes and Loki for me have always kind of been a thing. And I don't know, maybe just because like I always kind of represent or put together snake and trickster. Doesn't matter what the mythos is, doesn't matter what the story is, like at some point there always seems to be some sort of snake trickster association. And like Loki's kid, I'm not gonna say this right, Jormungandr, snake. And there's also the whole snake dripping on him as his punishment with a venom thing. So it's like, I just found this. I was kind of like thinking, oh, like, oh, if I can't find anything, maybe I'll go out and buy like a certain rune, or I was immediately thinking, go buy something. Go and get something material to use in your practice for this month of commitment. And then immediately I opened my jewelry box and saw something. And I thought that kind of interesting too. Giving parameters to the signs and what you're going through your spirituality, right? Because I don't know, sometimes I give myself signs and I'm like, just show me a sign. Like, give me a symbol, a coincidence, something that makes me know that I'm being heard here. But sometimes I think, I never thought that I could give parameters to it. Be like, show me something in here that I could work with that would work well for this ritual, or work well for this month or dedication, or you know what I mean. And that worked extremely well, since I'm trying not to spend any money, I'm trying to commit. And it is a rediscovery of things. I literally don't think I've worn this pendant in 10 years or something. Like, I hold on to a shit ton of pendants and jewelry, and there's a lot of it where I'm just like, oh, maybe I'll sell it or something. I don't know, because I just don't wear that much of it. I prefer like a pendant like this and a simple little chain, and I can switch out the pendants on it when I want. I prefer always having the same rings. There's a bunch of earrings I found recently where I was like, I don't even know if my ears are even pierced anymore. It's been so long since I've worn anything. Maybe they still are. In a lot of ways, I feel like I've kind of failed at my depth year with the constant slash, I guess, varying more indulgences of food when I shouldn't be. And for like a long time, I was even tricking myself going like, well, if I just walk to Trader Joe's and get snacks, it's not the same as ordering out and getting snacks, so it's within my rules. But even that then like totally like went into overdrive, and it's like, okay, we need to about that. But on the other hand, it's like, oh hey, but I am making baby steps. I am making progress. And just because your progress maybe doesn't line up with originally how you wanted your depth year, your challenge, whatever the hell else to go, that's good. Like, I remember making a financial plan for myself at the beginning of the year and thinking, I'm gonna stick to this. As I check it off, like, this will be so great. And it's like, okay, not all of that financial stuff is gonna get done in the time I want to, because in order for that to happen would mean that my priorities would have to significantly shift, and that's just not, I'm honest, like being really honest with myself, I'm just not interested. So yeah, overall, this has been a very kind of sporadic, rambly video, not too long at all, but that's kind of how my brain is at the current moment as we're hitting mid-July, and I figured, yeah, that's a good accurate representation of how this is all going. But I'm still getting a shit ton of stuff out of having the rules of a depth year and attempting at least to commit to them. I definitely want to keep a little more committed if I can to the food. I think writing down exactly where I'm spending, and even shifting the focus from like eating out all the time to eating out at like more snacks at Trader Joe's is like, that's better, that's fine, than before. So small improvements, not huge steps to exactly where I loved my goals to be, but we are getting better, so step by step. Anyway, I make new videos every single week. I also have a beloved poetry collection that is now out. If you'd like to check that, it's always in the description down below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.